Previously on That's the Show, it was Emmy season in the Year of the Rabbit, and the boys were protesting their inability to nominate the Downton Abbey movie. An accident lands one in the ER, where he dreams of an age of resistance and a crystal that was dark. We're doing it!
Yeah. You're really loud.
I'm always loud.
Yeah, I know you are. It just surprises me every time.
Sorry. I project.
I project too.
You project when you're singing.
I project when I'm singing, and I project into spaces where I think that people would need to hear me from across a room, but we're sitting right next to each other.
So you're saying that you have controlled projection.
Yes.
I just project constantly.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I believe that you are also in control of it if you were more conscious of it. But
this is an exciting time. We're podcasting.
Okay. Finally, what time is it actually? An hour and 15 minutes after you have arrived.
This is our first time doing this setup. This is our experimental season.
I'm not mad about it. I'm just throwing a lot of shade, apparently.
At ourselves?
Yeah.
And us?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I roll.
All
Didn't
right.
you know?
I did know, but maybe our listeners do not know. You should tell our listeners what's going on.
My name is Rachel. I go by the Ginny Bird online, mostly on YouTube, which I haven't posted a video in 3 months, and Twitter, where I am much more active.
I'm Paul Roth, or at Pauladin on the tubes. I'm like 10% kimchi, 20% rice, 30% tofu, 40% anxiety, 50% depression. Don't tell me how much that adds up to. I don't want to know.
I'm just being that Nathan Fillion gif.
I see. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm hoping to vote for like a Warren Castro or a Sanders Gibbard ticket. I'll go either way.
Yeah.
Politics!
I understood that was politics.
What's going on in your life, Rachel?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly just choir rehearsals.
Because your winter concert's coming up.
Yes, the winter concert is coming up. It is December 7th and 8th, if anyone is in LA and would like to buy tickets. I will include a link for tickets in the description, I guess, because
Sure.
I'm in control of things now.
Yeah, why not?
And it's going to be a really good show. I'm excited. We're doing a medley of Home Alone songs. I don't know if you realize that Home Alone has original music. It's not just Christmas carols. All the Christmas carols that they're singing in the background are not traditional Christmas carols. They are completely written by John Williams. I think it's John Williams. If it's not John Williams, I'm going to be really disappointed in myself. So it's a wonderful medley, and it makes me cry every time we rehearse it. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, you, according to your Instagram story, you're also rock climbing all the time.
This is true. And I am now an ambassador for a t-shirt company called Dynamite Starfish. I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. You see the logo on the front, but in the back is where you really see the thing. It says, I don't know if you can really see it on the camera.
They cannot.
Yeah. It's really cute. Like, mostly climbing references to things. And I'm really excited about it.
Awesome.
So, I guess there you go. That's what's going on in my life.
That is stuff.
Yeah, apparently I have stuff.
You do have stuff. It's hard
you?
to tell from the inside. Well, I just finished up October's Inktober challenge, where I did a new piece of art every day of the month. Mm-hmm. And I've done it before, but I tried easy things before. I just did pencil sketches, and then I would do some ink outline on top of them. This month, I tried to branch out. I tried different types of ink. I tried watercolor pens. I tried colored markers, including some metallic markers. So that was some fun stuff. I even tried to animate a couple of frames of like a She-Ra scene. I only managed 2 frames before I was exhausted. I don't know how animators used to do things by hand. It's exhausting. And then this month, now that it is November and we are recording this next episode of the podcast, I have transitioned into doing exercise every day of the month because I was just sitting still too much last month. Yeah,
so we didn't talk about this ahead of time. Yeah. We often forget to talk about this ahead of time. Would you like to do our individual pieces first, or the short take that we're going to do together?
Let's do the individual pieces first.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first? Or I think
you should go first.
I think I should go first because mine is kind of an update.
There you go.
And it's an update on the JAG characters appearing in NCIS LA.
If you're participating in the JAG drinking game that goes along with our podcast, stop playing. You will die during this episode. Please continue.
Yeah. So, quick recap for those of you who did not see that episode where I got very passionate about this subject. JAG ended in 2004, the 2 main characters suddenly announcing that they were engaged and they're gonna let fate decide which of them should resign from their military careers.
It's like a coin flip?
Yes, indeed. Freeze frame on the coin flip, in fact.
Nice.
So we never knew who won. Anyway, the NCIS franchise is a spin-off of JAG. We haven't seen Harm or Mac on the show for 15 years. We've seen some of the other... We've seen a few other JAG characters pop up here and there. So, this is not a new thing. But Harm and Mac, the 2 main characters, came back to the franchise for the season finale of NCIS LA, which was a cliffhanger. So...
what happens after the cliff?
First, I gotta go to what the cliffhanger was.
Okay.
We learned that they had never got married. Neither of them were willing to quit their military careers, and they haven't seen each other in 9 years. So, Harm is an XO on a ship, Navy.
Executive officer
on a ship. There is a hostage situation on the aircraft carrier, a firefight over a bunker somewhere in the Middle East. They are frantically trying to defuse this situation. We are picking up in the season premiere the exact time when they're finally gonna meet in person. Wait,
so they still haven't even met yet?
They saw each other on a webcam, but they did not meet in person.
That is really teasing the fan. All right, go on.
Yeah, it was awful. So we pick up at the same spot. We get to see Harm and Mac have a reunion. It is so palatably awkward that the NCIS characters who are in this scene literally leave to let them have a moment. They get the information that they need. They convince the right people that it wasn't the US nearly dropping bombs on them, and big group dinner at a restaurant. Hattie is the boss of NCIS LA, and she calls Harm into the back kitchen off camera and tells him that he should consider a job with NCIS in San Diego, conveniently where Mac has been stationed for assumably 15 years now.
Okay.
Because that was where she was going to be sent at the end of JAG, and there was no specific mention of her ever not being there. So I guess we just assume that she's still in the same place, because assumptions have worked so well for us on this show.
Wow.
So, they leave it ambiguous. infuriatingly so, but are heavily implying that Harmon and Mac are deciding not to leave things to fate anymore. They literally use that phrase, leaving fate to decide, like, very indicative of their series finale, rather.
Indicative lazy writing is what that is.
Yeah. So, like, they like are making moon eyes at each other the whole last scene. There's no kiss. I am angry at the entire thing. But to be quite frank, it could have been so much worse.
Wait, is that it?
Yes.
Are there more episodes of NCIS LA?
No. I mean, there are more episodes of NCIS LA, but
not with them.
They're gone now.
Are there plans for an NCIS San Diego?
Nope.
What the hell was the point of this? This is just like some sort of rude fan tease to accomplish nothing.
Yep.
Rude.
It just made people angry.
Makes me kind of angry. I'm not even a fan.
Right. So, yeah.
All right.
There we go. There's that. You, I think, have something much less infuriating to bring us now.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about a new sitcom that's been on NBC for a little while. It's called Sunnyside. I think they're probably up to like episode like 5 or 6 or 7 now. It's a little bit into the season.
Yeah.
I want there to be more U.S. TV shows that have Asian American actors as main characters that aren't stereotypes. Like, don't give me the nerd. Don't give me the doctor or the violin player.
Okay.
And don't even give me like the reject stereotypes, like the Asian guy who dresses up in like urban hip hop wear and shit like that. I'm tired of all those things. Give me like interesting. It could be anybody of any ethnicity type characters, and let them be played by Asian Americans. That's what I want to see. So I heard about this show Sunnyside, where one of the actors from House, the old TV series, Cal Penn. He played somebody who used to be a politician in New York, very young politician who got carried away with his power and essentially like slacked off for over a decade in that office.
This is in Sunnyside, right?
This is not
his character in House.
This is not his character in House. No, sorry. In Sunnyside, his politician character slacks off for like a decade, and then there's a scandal, and he gets kicked out of office. And he doesn't know what to do with his life because all he's been doing is like schmoozing as a politician for a decade. As he's trying to come up with some sort of direction, he's like sleeping on the couch in his sister's apartment. His sister is actually like a decent human being who's accomplishing productive things in life, being in the medical profession. And I feel like there even is mention about how her being of Indian descent in the medical profession is itself a stereotype. But that's fine. At least they're meta about it. They joke about it. I like that. So as Cal Penn's character is trying to figure out something to do with his life, he stumbles upon this group of immigrants who want to become U.S. citizens. So they need to take the test. They need to get their citizenship. They need to make sure they don't like break any rules. They'll get kicked out of the country before they get their citizenship. And so he takes on the task of coaching them, not so much out of the goodness of his heart, but because two of the characters are incredibly rich Korean people who is like millionaires rich Korean people.
I was going to say that's maybe a stereotype.
Kind of. But it's normally it's a stereotype of a character that I normally see played by very white people. Like, okay. I previously mentioned the TV show Schitt's Creek with a bunch of spoiled white people. These two Korean characters on Sunnyside feel like they're a member of the Rose family on Schitt's Creek, but they're Korean. Gotcha. So I like that again.
I guess I'm just thinking of Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, yes. Crazy Rich Asians is a very specific stereotype.
Yeah. No, I realize that.
Anyway, so it's an ensemble comedy is what it is. These Crazy Rich Asians, played by these two Korean characters, they're going to pay Cal Penn's character to teach them how to become U.S. citizens. And so every episode, they go through like a little lesson of some sort. And they're not really very educational episodes. Like, The Good Place actually teaches some people some stuff about philosophy here and there. But Sunnyside is doing nothing. Sunnyside is just like joking out of his butt about politics and the U.S. government and history and everything. Everything is a joke. And occasionally, like, one of the characters who is not the coach character played by Cal Penn, one of the other characters says something that's right. And that is the funny thing, is that they already have the right answer, and Kal Penn is not being very helpful. Yeah.
So you like it?
I wanted to like it. I like the premise of it, but I mostly find it annoying. Like, all of the characters are... I love the Korean siblings, the wealthy ones, who keep on just, like, dropping non sequiturs about their lives as rich people that are hilarious. They'll say things like I think literally in the first episode, the brother pulls out like $15,000 out of his pocket and just offers it to Kal Penn to teach them, and Kal Penn's like, "Oh my god!" And they're like, "I'm sorry, do you think $15,000 is a lot of money?" And it's hilarious. Like, the whole delivery of it is great and very consistent about it. And they have they go to these weird parties with celebrities, and they come back with like souvenirs. It's funny. It's very funny. My friend Emily Grace, twirly enough on the internet, loves this show, and it keeps on tweeting about how everybody needs to watch it. So I know at least one person really loves the show. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to say about this? No. The problem I have with this sitcom, as is often the case with modern sitcoms, is that the most screen time and lines are given to the male characters who suck. Like, have we learned nothing from How I Met Your Mother? Stop doing that. Give all the screen time and the lines to the hilarious women who are the best parts of the show, instead of what's happening here. I give it like a 6 out of 10 stars. Like, it has potential.
Gotcha.
But I stopped watching a couple episodes ago because I was just tired of like the jerk guys being jerks.
Yeah. I've seen some ads for it, and like I was curious about it, but like I've not yet been convinced to watch it, and that was not convincing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like ensemble comedies, and if you like Kal Penn, who's I think the biggest name on that show, or if you like Korean actors playing rich snobs who are oblivious to reality, those are good reasons to watch the show. They're significant parts of the show. Mm-hmm. But if cringe comedy and people being ignorant for no good reason is not fun to you,
nope,
it's probably not for you.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay. Good talk. So let's go into one of the shows that we both have been watching.
Yes.
And we wanted to talk about together, but we also still want it to be a short take.
Yes.
Let's see how that goes.
We will fail, but that's fine. It's a journey on this podcast.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Stumptown.
Stumptown, or as I like to call it, Agent Maria Hill becomes a private investigator.
I mean, accurate. And Nick from New Girl is her buddy.
Yes.
I guess.
It's important to say that they are not romantic interests. They're really pushing the whole they're platonic friends thing.
But they also, like, I feel like they could go there.
They could go there, but they specifically have Michael Ealy in there as a romantic love interest in the form of a very attractive cop with blue eyes that are just speak to you through the screen. They're beautiful.
Yeah, so I think they're going to stick with that for a while.
Yeah.
But like potentially down the line, I don't even know what, like, Colby's mother's character, her name is Dax. Right? Dex.
D-E-X.
Yes. I don't remember what Nick from New Girl's character's name is, or even what the actor's name is. Because
the actor's name is Jake Johnson.
I'm that bitch. Doesn't remember stuff. He seems, to me, he seems like he would be interested in it being, their relationship being more.
Yeah, possibly.
But anyway, that's its own deep dive conversation that we're not getting into.
No. So the premise of the show is that Colby Smolder's character, who's Dex Perios, and her full name is actually Dexedrine, and there's a very funny explanation of that later on after the beginning of the season. But anyway, she was in the military. She experienced a lot of violent warfare. She suffers from PTSD after getting out of active service. Her brother with Down syndrome is played by an actor, Cole Sybus, who actually has Down syndrome, is an actor with a disability.
Yay!
It's amazing, yeah. And they hang out in Portland, Oregon. And apparently, Portland, Oregon has tons of different nicknames. I didn't know this before I watched the show. I kind of knew about the Stumptown nickname.
Right.
It's also called, like, Jack City, I think?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a bunch of nicknames for it, and they keep on mentioning them. They really try to push the fact that Portland is a character in the show as well.
Yeah. It's very, like, screaming Portland at you.
It is. A lot. Yeah. In the last episode, they literally talked about going out and exploring all the microbreweries. I mean, come on.
Right. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is, like, a very in-your-face thing.
Yeah. I mean, unlike Superior Donuts...
which was subtly about Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then, in casual conversation, they talk about something that was found around that area of Chicago, rather than, like, shoving in your face. But in Stumptown, they're shoving in your face all the time.
Yeah. I'm, like... So I'm a little bit behind. You probably have seen more recent episodes than I have.
Yes.
But I'm really liking it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was going to be action-adventure. I wasn't sure if it was going to be funny-adventure. I wasn't sure if it was going to be dark. Like, you couldn't really tell from the posters and the trailers in advance.
Right.
I knew that there was going to be some punching from Kobe, which is great.
I mean, it's kind of all of those things.
It is all of those things, which is something that I really like. I like the fact that they don't just say the PTSD is a part of her personality in the pilot and then drop it. It's something that she literally has to struggle with all the time.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly realistic. I love that about it.
Yeah, and it does come back, and, like, you see it coming up in a lot of episodes. So that's like a really nice, like, character consistency thing.
It is. Absolutely.
That I enjoy.
And then she doesn't start off as a private investigator, which is something I also like. I mean, it's very typical for stuff to start off like in media res, and you like somebody's established as whatever. They already know how to do their trade. But something that I don't really remember seeing very often is someone learning how to be a private investigator after having not done that for most of their life, but just having some like natural talents and skills.
Right.
And that's what's happening here. Is like we watch Dex's trip as she's like learning how to be a PI.
Yeah. It does feel a little bit Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, I like Jessica Jones.
None of these things are bad. It's just like, there are a lot of comparisons from a lot of different things to be made.
But of course, the contrast with Jessica Jones is once we start seeing the Jessica Jones Netflix TV show, she's already been an investigator. She's been a bunch of things. She's been a superhero. She's been an investigator. She's had like a relationship with people. All of those things are established. But in Stumptown, the only thing that's really established in Dex's life is that she was in the military, and now she's not. And then everything else is, like, beginning for us.
No. Like, yes, those are the main things that are established. But the other thing that I don't think I see even in your description here is the, like, relatively strong Native American presence in the show. Which, as far as I can tell, comes from Dex formerly being engaged to the, like, son. of the chief.
Yes. I don't know. I don't know if she's the chief. She's definitely in charge of the casino on the reservation.
Right. So like one of the like leaders of the tribe reservation.
Yeah.
Right. All deepest apologies if we get any of this wrong. I like that they're like actually going there, that they're having a conversation around Native Americans in reservations and like what is that actually like. I really like that they are having this storyline, and I think that it's one of the like kind of through lines. Like this, it feels like this show is a lot more episodic than something like say Jessica Jones, or like a lot of TV shows now are so serialized that you can't even, like, pay attention. Or, like, you can't stop paying attention, rather. Like, you can't miss a single episode or else you'll be completely lost. Whereas this feels a little bit more episodic with a couple of small through lines.
Yes.
Which I enjoy. Like, it's the through line with trying to figure out what is Dex's past and like what is her connection to this reservation and casino. And Nick.
His character's name is Gray.
Right.
Gray.
I just always call him Nick.
I understand. Nick from New Girl. But his character's name is Gray.
Gray's like past of like he was in prison and that whole thing.
Yes.
Great ending, I know. But
you're right though. Like
yeah.
I've watched a few more episodes than you, and that is a through line that continues throughout the series. It's not a major plot point where you need to necessarily know about it to watch an episode out of nowhere.
Right.
But I will say that as the series continues on, it does build on more and more of those through lines. We see more about what happens with Dex's potential mother-in-law, who is in charge of the reservation. Right. We see more about what happens with Gray's past as it comes up to the future. We see stuff about... We even see stuff about why Dex has the zany car that she has. Like that keeps coming back as well. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We don't see... Something that I really like that is continuing, that is not lessening in the slightest, is that Cole Sybus's character, Dex's brother with Down syndrome, nobody cares about or talks about the fact that he has Down syndrome. That is not like a story point or a beat. However, they all treat him with consideration for his accessibility needs.
Yeah.
And occasionally he'll do things like he'll pull out one of those cards that says, please contact the person who is supposed to be in charge of my care in order to let them know what's going on with me. And he hands that off to another character, which is great. But nobody makes a big deal about it.
And he's like, Gray is employing him at the bar. Yep. Like he is, they're treating him like a member of society, which is how disabled people should be treated.
Yes. And it's not a token job either, because his character is actually very smart and does a really good job of taking care of the bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really enjoying pretty much everything about the show.
I'm enjoying it a lot. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep liking it because it's not as fun and funny as I'd hoped. There's some dark stuff, and Cody Smulders does a really good job of like letting it get to her, and you can see it.
And I guess that's the other thing to say is that you and I don't often watch the same show.
Yeah.
And this is a case where we have, and we're like, it's kind of drawn us in for opposite reasons.
Yeah, I like the fun, funny stuff. I like the relationship building. I'm not as big of a fan of the dark stuff.
Yep, and I really like the procedural drama aspect and the crime.
My favorite part is that with no real explanation given, we just have to accept the fact that Dex's car is magic and has a tape player, a tape deck in the car that will randomly play one of a million songs that fits the situation that she's in.
Perfectly every time. Like
it's ridiculous. I love it.
How long are they going to do this with that before it starts? They have to repeat songs.
They only have to repeat songs if it's not magic. But I say it's magic, so they're never going to repeat songs. So far, they've never had the same song on more than one episode.
Right, but like, how long can they keep this up?
I'm telling you forever. Nobody's going to talk about it either. Nobody's going to mention it.
Right, and that's the other weird part is that like no one talks about it, but it is in universe.
Yes.
Like sometimes that like you'll see somebody press play on a thing and then it like goes into a montage, so it's like hypothetically in universe, but also like overlaid. This is me being really meta about TV, and we should stop.
Your point is valid though. Like people in the universe, people in her car hear the song that's playing, and they'll like, what's going on? She'll be like, don't worry about it. That's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, or like they'll try and stop it, or
it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. It has a mind of its own.
It's great.
Yeah.
The only like real explanation is given in the first episode, where she just says, "Yeah, the tape player is kind of weird," and that's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we just accept. It's great. I'm hoping that there's going to be like more zany stuff like that's underlying here and there. But for the most part, it's just been a pretty serious, although fun. It definitely has some fun there too, but it's been mostly a pretty serious woman becomes a private investigator later in her life type show. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. I like it. And I think it's time for us to move on to our ad breaks.
What do you get if you take the Sherlock Holmes framework and converted into an asshole genius doctor solving medical mysteries with a good-hearted but hapless sidekick and group of young and rebellious irregulars? How about if you make the main character speak with an American accent, even though he's played by a British person, because the show is set in the United States, even though it's based on a British fictional character? Well, then you get House, a Fox show that's entirely available on Amazon Prime and other pay-to-play streaming services.
Team up a male model with one Leonard McCoy. Make them both cops. Make one of them a robot and the other one prejudiced against robots. What do you get? A show that's called Almost Human. Solve the mystery of the week each week while uncovering the answers behind a season-long puzzle and a conspiracy in the robot construction industry. Seasoned with gorgeous CGI, a little fun interoffice romance, and questions about what it means to be a person. Available for purchase on all the usual internet streaming services. There we go.
There we go. Did you like the series?
I did watch it. I don't know that I watched all of it, but I enjoyed what I was seeing. Like, I kept watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I was so sad that it only had got one season.
Yeah. Yeah, I must have been watching most of it, because I do remember being sad when it got canceled.
I feel like it might have been a victim of the writer's strike. I don't remember. Was it after that? Okay.
It was like 2 years later.
Never mind. Then it was just got robbed. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do your full story, your main story first, or should I do my main story first?
I think you should go first, because mine will be ending on, like... We're kind of swapped today.
How so?
You're talking about a serious drama thing, and I'm talking about a fun comedy thing.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know why. I think you should go first.
Okay. Fine by me. So now we come to the main story part of our podcast, where we concentrate on one show or piece of news or something. And I want to talk about Emergence, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. on ABC. It is really hard to talk about the show without spoiling it. And for once, I kind of don't want to. Normally, I don't care about spoilers. It's fine. But like the twist of this show is kind of what makes it so interesting to get into and figure out what's going on.
So how are you going to talk about it?
I'm going to talk about how it feels like Fringe and Agent Carter. It feels like those shows. That should be enough to I think I've already sold Rachel. The reason why it feels like that is because it's created by Michelle Fazekas and Tara Butters. Fazekas and Butters, one of my favorite TV production companies in Hollywood, is a professional partnership responsible for Agent Carter, Kevin Probably Saves the World, Reaper, and some actual printed Marvel comics, like literal paper Marvel comics, like Captain Marvel. They did Captain Marvel. These folks know how to make mysterious stories with cool concepts and also lots of laughs. Like, it's usually, you often get like a Fringe with like one or two laughs, but these people have laughs throughout their stories very consistently, and it's great. The trailers and commercials for Emergence were playing for a while before the show came on, and in Los Angeles, we saw billboards freaking everywhere for this show. But they didn't give away anything. It showed like a woman holding a child in a blue background. What is that? That's nothing.
Yeah, it was very ambiguous.
It's very ambiguous. So here's some of the details of the premise. A police chief in Long Island goes to investigate an aircraft crash site, and the police chief, finds a little girl with no memory of what's going on, how she got there, but also not a scratch on her. So like right from the first episode, weird things start happening around the girl. And I hate it when shows draw out the weirdness. They're like, oh, everything is normal in the first episode, and then the second episode there's like aliens or like unicorns or whatever. But no. Right from the very first episode of this show, they start getting weird, and I love it.
It's very Fringe.
Yeah. Is she magic? Is she an alien? Is she from a different universe? Is she escaped from which mountain? You don't know. That's the show. Oh, sorry. I jumped ahead of that. Mm-hmm. The little girl doesn't remember her name, but she gets called Piper by the police chief and the police chief's family, who are all very close, and they're fun, and they're in every episode. The whole family is there. Aww. And I love the fact that the police chief, Joe Evans, she's like really protective of the little girl. She's unlike a typical police chief, but she's totally believable as a police chief. Like, the dynamics in the family are cool. Allison Tolman plays Chief Joe Evans. Clancy Brown, who I always think of as the voice of Lex Luthor from the cartoons, but Clancy Brown plays her dad, and Donald Faison from Scrubs plays her ex-husband. It's a very star-studded cast. Yeah. And then, like, they've got Mia, who is Joe's daughter with Donald Faison's character. She's cool and rebellious. There's a reporter who kind of becomes like Joe's sidekick, and he's played by Owain Yeoman, who played Rigsby on The Mentalist.
Oh!
Yeah, Rigsby's back. And this time he actually uses his regular British accent instead of trying to fake an American one.
He's British?
He's British. His name is Owain Yeoman. And then Piper is played by Alexa Swinton, who is actually 10 years old and not just like a 20-year-old playing a child, and is
That's
precocious AF in real life too. Like, I watched a couple of like late night talk show interviews with her, and she is as smart as a whip. Allison Tolman, who is the chief, is a badass, but she's not like a typical skinny, athletic leading lady like a Lena Headey or the woman who played Olivia in Fringe. She's not like still not like somebody who could be a supermodel but happens to be law enforcement. Nope, she just looked like an average, everyday person in a small town.
And she was the lead in Downward Dog.
Was she?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Which is another show that we talked about. Because I remember...
You'd seen it, but I didn't watch it barely at all.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember when all these billboards were everywhere, I'm just like, I recognize her, and I can't figure out why. So I looked up the cast for Emergence. I found her on IMDb, and I was like scrolling back through, and I saw a few other things that I know I have seen that she was in, and I'm just like, maybe that's it. But that doesn't feel like, I don't remember that character kind of thing. And then eventually I found Downward Dog, which was this show with her and her dog. Like, that was pretty much the whole premise, is she had a dog who was like her best friend, and like dog, like he was a dog. It's fine. Yeah. It was like family / workplace comedy. It was great. I enjoyed it. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, so I only watched like one episode of Downward Dog, and I didn't really get into it. I'm imagining that Allison Tolman probably carried that show as well, because she is so freaking charismatic on Emergence. It is amazing. Like, in one scene, you'll see her chasing down a bad guy, pulling out her gun, and like, it's scary how authoritative she is. And then in the next scene, she'll be making jokes with her kids and her dad. And it's great. I love seeing that dynamic. It's so much fun.
That's cute.
She's a little bit of a larger woman. Nobody mentions it. And she like, that's it. There's like no mention of it. There's no mention of her appearance in the slightest, any episode. Even by the bad guys, which is what it typically shows tend to do. I was annoyed that I looked back at the billboards again after I started watching the show. I'm pretty sure they photoshopped her to make her look skinnier in the billboards. Yeah, that might be why we weren't able to completely place her when you spotted her before. Everybody on the show does a great job. Donald Faison plays a cool dad. I never really thought of him as going to be like a cool...
I don't know who this person is.
Oh, he was like the black friend on Scrubs. He was like one of the main characters.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't know actors' names. Almost ever.
Right. He's great. Clancy Brown's great. They have... I don't want to spoil the show. They have a character who comes on, and you're not sure if she's good or bad. She plays like a hacker character, and I'm like 99% sure that she was like Beekman's assistant on Beekman's World, the old like kids show about science. It was like competitive to Bill Nye.
Animated, right? No, I've never seen it. Then.
It's fine. And she's great as well. There's like, even like the bit parts are, anyway, it's a great show. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm a little bit worried because the ratings aren't the best, but I'm like crossing my fingers that ABC's going to hang on to this because it's like doing really well. And again, it's some of their favorite producers. ABC really likes to hire Fazekas and Butters, and thank goodness they do.
It also feels like a show that could kind of grow into a bigger audience.
I think so. Like I don't remember how Fringe did their first season, but I feel like it could grow like Fringe does.
Yeah, Fringe did okay in their first season, but it was very episodic. So like they didn't really start getting into the like things that made it Fringe until season 2 and 3.
Emergence is very serialized. You can watch one episode out of nowhere, and they will kind of refer to things enough to explain it. But for the most part, you kind of have to watch episode after episode to see where it builds.
Yeah. Love it.
It is definitely sci-fi, and oh, hello, cat. It is definitely sci-fi, and by as early as the 4th episode, they basically start telling you all the secrets, which is great. I don't like shows that drag it out and make you wait for a long time to figure out what's going on. I don't want like a last episode reveal, and all of a sudden then you discover what the twist is. No. Early on, it gets weird, and by the 4th episode, they explain why it's weird.
You don't like shows that keep the secret unless it's The Good Place.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw that in there because
I can argue
need to mention The Good Place.
I can argue that The Good Place was actually telling you that what the secret was throughout the episodes.
Right, but nobody really picked it up.
Oh, there are lots of people who guessed it already in advance.
Okay, I didn't watch it while it was on. I watched it later.
Right.
So
yes,
it's fine. We're good.
I love The Good Place.
Stop interrupting.
It's fine. That's what makes it a podcast. Yeah, so you don't have to wait very long before the twist is revealed. And if I ever come back and I talk about Emergence again, I'll be able to tell you all the secrets. There are so many. Like I feel like from the 4th episode on, they keep on revealing a new secret every episode, and it's great. It's stuff that's not easily predictable.
Once again, another thing in The Good Place. Okay.
I'm giving Emergence 9 out of 10 stars.
Good. There we go. All right. And now for something completely different. I'm going to talk about Perfect Harmony.
Hooray!
Have you been watching Perfect Harmony?
Yes.
Out of curiosity. Okay.
Every episode. It's great.
Great. So, first off, and this is in the style of a meme, so we'll see if anyone gets that. Was anyone going to tell me that Bradley Whitford could sing, or was I just supposed to find that out on my own by watching Perfect Harmony? Like, he can actually sing.
Yeah.
And I'm very, this has never been alluded to in any other character he has ever played.
I feel like Alice and Janney got the jackal, and then they were like, "No, nobody else can do it. Sorry."
Right. Like we can't include anyone else's possible musical talents. Which I get. Like, it would have been weird if Joshua Lyman burst into song. Like, I can't see a way for them to do that.
They could have done like during a Christmas episode. You could be doing like Christmas carols, but whatever, it's fine.
Anyway, surprised and delighted. So. Perfect Harmony, if you have not seen or guessed by now, is a show starring Bradley Whitford and Anna Camp. From
Pitch Perfect.
From Pitch Perfect. The two, main stars of the show. Bradley Whitford is taking on a directorial role in a small church choir.
Yes.
And Anna Camp is kind of the, not the star of the choir. I think she has the potential to be the star of the choir, but she hasn't grown into that role yet.
Yeah. She's the choir's biggest cheerleader is what she is.
Right. And she's they are the main characters of the show for sure. They are focusing on Bradley Whitford and a lot of his personal backstory plots, right. And then also on Anna Camp's character and her family and other stuff. Her ex-husband now is a member of the choir. Her son is a reoccurring character. Yep. So that's basically the show. Yeah.
You can tell that Anna Camp's character and Bradley Whitford's character are the main ones because we find out the most about their backstories, and everybody else is just kind of you get little cameos of their backstories, if anything at all.
Right.
But we see Bradley Whitford talking about his dead wife. We actually encounter his dead wife's dad in one episode.
Yeah. We're going to get to that.
All right.
I'm going to get the music stuff out of the way first.
Yes. Tell us about the music stuff, because I am a lay person who has very little musical education and practice.
Right. So And before I even talk about the music stuff on the show, I'm going to mention my own musical background.
Yeah, who are you?
Currently sing in a massive choir. Concert date December 7th and 8th. If you're in LA and would like to come see it. I have previously been in smaller choirs, my high school and middle school choirs. I was in the church choir, like actually in a church choir. It wasn't quite as small as the one on Perfect Harmony. The Perfect Harmony church choir is incredibly small.
It's like a dozen people at most.
It's significantly less in the pilot, and I think that's more because of budgetary reasons, and they're like showing more and more like background characters as also being a part of the choir as the show is going on, which A+. You can't have a choir with 7 people. You just can't. I have an idea of how realistic this show is. And the most unrealistic portion of it is that they seem to have a very polished performance of a brand new song every single week. No?
How long does it take to polish a performance, Rachel?
We are working on our holiday concert. We started rehearsals in September. The performance is not until the first week of January, or I keep saying January, December. So that's about 4 months of prep time.
Wow.
So to be fair, that's a full set of like 16 songs.
Yes, and in this show, they only ever sing one song.
Right. In this show, they only ever sing one song at a time, but comparatively to my choir being on America's Got Talent,
right,
where we were only preparing one song,
right,
super polished, including choreography, which is something that they occasionally do on this show.
Yeah,
that still took us a month.
Okay.
So that's the unrealistic portion of the show, and I do think they're doing slightly less of that now. Like in the Halloween episode, they had a few songs that they did.
Yeah, but they only did like a one verse of each song.
And they were like kitschy versions of it, and it wasn't as like polished performance style.
Yeah. Although they did actually like do a little mini choreography for each song.
Right, and like it was clearly because it is a professional TV show and it's in a camp, and it's like they have the time on the show, in production, to make it sound really good. So it does. But I kind of believed that as it sounds really good because they're on TV, but like realistically, maybe it would sound a little bit less good, but like I could see that being a thing.
Okay.
Like they're songs that people know because they were based on Christmas carols.
Yes.
And if you're in a choir, even if you're not religious yourself, you know the Christmas carols. So the most realistic part of this show is absolutely the petty interpersonal drama. There is so much petty interpersonal drama in a choir, which is not like throwing shade. Like, I think if you get any group of people together, of like 12 or more, and you're meeting on a regular basis and like you're involved in each other's lives, you're going to have some level of petty interpersonal drama.
Yes, agreed.
And not only are these characters like very involved in each other's lives, it's a small town, so a lot of them have grown up involved in each other's lives for their entire lives.
Yep.
So like this is rather believable to me that they are all very gung-ho and involved in each other's business. So on to the not as musical side of things. A thing that I want to talk about is actually wait, let me read my thing again. Okay, so I'm really liking the show. I have been a huge fan of Bradley Whitford's for a long time. This is not a secret. I think I've even mentioned it on the show multiple times. I somehow missed the Pitch Perfect bandwagon. Okay. So, like, I was aware of it. And
I watched all 3 movies. They're great.
Like, I think I've seen I've seen the second movie. I don't even know if I've seen the first movie. Like, I'm aware of it, but I'm not, like, gung-ho about it. So this is really the first time that I'm seeing Anna Camp. And I love her.
She's fantastic.
Like, I really liked her in what I saw of Pitch Perfect before. But I'm, like, this is, obviously, TV shows are very different than movies. And I'm just really enjoying it. The thing that I want to get into here is that this show really needed a content warning for suicide ideation.
Oh, yes.
In the first episode. They do have that kind of dark side to the show continuing in the series, and this is my cat being slightly noisy in the background if you can hear that. But in the first episode, literally the first scene of the first episode is Bradley Whitford's character, like, is sitting in his car about to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared for that. So, obviously, like, there's this idea that, like, the choir has saved him. Like, his backstory is that his wife has passed recently, and so we see as the show goes on that there's this kind of idea that the choir has saved him from committing suicide because he himself is getting involved in the petty interpersonal drama of a small town choir.
I mean, he claims to be resisting it. He claims to not want to get involved, but he always does.
He always does. And I think there's an argument to be made that the reason that he is willing to get involved is because of his own petty drama with, like, the leader of this megachurch.
Yeah.
From the pilot, which is not really mentioned in subsequent episodes. I
Nope.
imagine that it's a thread that will come back in, like, mid-season finales and, like, season finales, so we'll see about that.
I mean, maybe, but you can never really trust what you see in a pilot.
Right. So, it, like... it's a good show.
Yeah.
I like a lot of things about it. And I do like that they are, like, having that conversation. Like, this character has lost a lot of things and is going through a lot. And they're not making that the joke.
Right.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Like, they're talking about it. Mm-hmm. They're not being like, oh, like, yeah, he lives in a houseboat, he doesn't know how to cook, like, ha 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 ha, like, sad man who is sad.
Yeah.
In his sadness and depression, but also has lived this sad life because he no longer, like, can function without his wife who did everything for him.
Right. The characters do what they're supposed to do when you're facing with a sad person in real life, which is you try to help them. So they always try to help him with his episodic depression or what have you. What they make fun of is the fact that he is a city boy in a not city area. That's what they make fun of. And that's fine. That's punching up.
That's a great, that's a great thread of, I don't know have you seen the Halloween episode?
Yes.
Because in the Halloween episode, he, like, tries to be in costume as a conductor. Like, he originally tries to be in costume as an opera character, which is also very highbrow, and then that costume gets ruined, and then he is a conductor, is his costume.
That's what he thinks it is, but everyone thinks he's Mr. Peanut.
Everyone thinks he's Mr. Peanut, which is its own funny, reoccurring joke. But which... They did that joke twice, but not a third time, which is, like, kind of a rule that if you do something twice, then you should do it 3 times. So a little bit of shade there. But, like, he's like, I'm a conductor. I wore this. Because he is actually a conductor. And I'm just like, this is not a costume, sir. Like, there's a lot of things that I really, really love about this show. And I'm definitely going to be continuing to watch it.
I like Anna Camp's character a lot. I like there's a black woman who owns the restaurant that everybody keeps on hanging out in.
Yes.
Whose name is some typically male character like James or Smith or something. I can't remember.
Smith, I think.
Is it Smith?
But I think that might be her last name.
I mean, whatever it is, they never refer to her by, like, a feminine first name. They refer to her by a name that is traditionally a masculine name. which I like. It's fine. And she always has like weird adventures that are off screen, and that's hilarious to me. I love that.
Right, and then they come back in for like one joke, and you're just like, what is going on with her?
That's great. I kind of hope they never reveal it. They will. They have like a preacher from the church who is an Indian man who was raised in America, but was like sheltered from the harsh realities of American culture by his parents who lied to him and gave him like about everything. And they like made up names for stuff so that he couldn't find out the realities of things.
Or they like made up, they would show him a movie and they would say that the title was like the moral lesson that they wanted him to learn from it.
Yes.
Which is like, so sometimes he'll say something and it was like, yes, in the movie, like da 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 da. And I'm just like, what is he even referring to?
In the TV show, it is okay to be gay. It's okay to be gay if you have enough friends. And sing about it was about Glee. That was the title of Glee. Okay.
I didn't even get that one.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
That was funny. And then like Anna Camp's son is a funny character.
I like him.
They don't make fun of the fact that he's a little bit overweight. They don't make fun of the fact that he is a little bit quiet. They only make fun of the fact that he like does stuff that's weird, which is great.
And they like more or less say that he is dyslexic, and they don't make fun of that either.
Yeah, his dyslexia is not a punchline. It's something that again people try to help him with.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, this show is doing a lot of things very right.
Yeah. Now, I do not find Anna Camp's ex-husband character endearing. I find him to be terrible, and I want to punch him all the time. Even though he's basically doing like the Jeff Foxworthy character in the show, where you're like everything he says might make you into a redneck because it's terrible. But on the other hand, his best friend is this very large black man who is fantastic.
I love him.
Hilarious. He's got the Darth Vader voice, but he's like gentle as a kitten. It's wonderful.
That's great. Yeah.
This is like the second show in the same episode that we both watch and like.
Yeah. This is unprecedented. Yeah. So I don't do the like multiple stars thing, but I'm doing the thing where I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna keep watching the show, and I think it's gonna be a regular show for me for as long as they make it.
Yeah, I mean, I've already tuned out of Sunnyside. Other people might like it, but and I thought I might tune out of Perfect Harmony. I wasn't sure where I was gonna go, but it turns out I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like the last time I enjoyed a show that had music in so many of the episodes was Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and before that was Glee. And for a little while, there was like this fantasy show where they were like singing songs on every episode of the fantasy show. But it's been so long, and it's got so little acclaim that I've forgotten the name of the show.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what this would be.
But you know that it existed, right? There was like a 2-season fantasy show starring like starring the police inspector from Psych. But I can't remember the name of the show anymore.
Oh.
You remember it now, right?
Now I remember it.
Yeah.
Timothy Amundsen.
Timothy Amundsen was in there, and he was great. But that show didn't last very well, and it doesn't have lasting power because I can't remember it very well. But I remember Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I know the name of it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I like the fact that we're not looking it up. And I liked Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I liked Glee, and now I like Perfect Harmony. I mean, I should say I liked the first 3 seasons of Glee. I didn't like the rest of it. But anyway, I like Perfect Harmony.
Timothy Amundsen was another one where I'm just like, holy crap, you can sing.
I know, he's really good.
And you're like, that whole show like kind of rode on him being able to sing, and he did it, and I was very impressed. So I think it is probably time for us to move on to the studio audience portion, Act 4 of our podcast.
You're here.
Are we ready for that?
I am ready.
I am not.
You're...
TV movie? Oh, wait. I have an answer for that. Okay. Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay. So, one of my friends on Instagram, at Twirly Enough, asked us the question, what is the best made-for-TV movie? What do you think?
My answer is Annie.
Oh, interesting.
Not the 1989 version of Annie that people know really well and was like this big blockbuster movie, but the 1999 version of Annie, which who's the 1999 version of Annie, which stars Kristen Chenoweth and Alan Cumming and Kathy Bates is in it.
I didn't even know about this one.
Victor Garber plays Daddy Warbucks.
Wow.
It's perfect.
Huh.
And you clearly have never seen this movie.
I have never seen that movie. I liked the original Annie. There was a movie, not the play. The original movie had Annie from like the 70s or early 80s.
Yeah.
I actually liked the remake with Quvenzhané Wallis. I thought that was good.
I actually haven't seen that. I say yes and I get excited about it because I just love Annie as a story.
Yeah.
But I actually haven't seen that one.
It was really good. And I'll check it out. I'll check out the 1999 made-for-TV movie.
Yeah. I believe the girl who plays Annie is Alicia Morton? Anyway. It was, like I said, 1999. It came out, like, I remember watching it as a, like, ABC World of Color, like, Disney Sunday night movie.
Cool.
And then we had it on VHS. Like, I owned this on VHS.
Wow.
And I loved it.
That's so funny. Like, my very first VHS tape was the 1979 or 1980 version of Annie. That was my first VHS videotape in my entire life. My second one was Star Wars. But my first one was Annie. That basically tells me who I am. I am Annie plus Star Wars. That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Yeah. My answer to this best made-for-TV movie, I have a 3-way tie now. It was a 2-way tie until this year. Now it's a 3-way tie, and that is a tie between Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie, Phineas and Ferb, the movie Across the Second Dimension, and now Steven Universe, the movie. If I have to pick one of them, it would be Steven Universe, the movie. But I loved all 3 of them, and they're all kids' movies, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
They were great. The one thing I loved all of them is that they always took the canonical storyline that had been built up in the TV show, and then they built upon it. They didn't just like throw away the history and start over. They built upon it in a way that was lasting for the continuation of the show, which is great.
That's nice.
Yes. And in particular, Steven Universe, the movie, Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension had some rockin' songs. There were like 2 or 3 bops in that movie. But Steven Universe, the movie, is like constantly fantastic songs. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's my answer.
I'm not at all surprised that you're choosing movies based on TV shows, like animated shows that you really like. Also not surprised at my choice as a musical.
Yes. I'm surprised that neither one of us chose a Disney Channel original movie. Where's the DComs? Not for us, I guess.
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. Anyway, the other thing that I'll say is I mentioned all these people who are in this movie.
Yes.
Kristen Chenoweth, like very well-known people who are in this movie. When I first saw this movie, I was like 10.
Okay.
I did not realize who any of these people were.
Fair.
Did not know that they were famous at all. It wasn't until I rewatched it at maybe even in college. Like, I rewatched it very much later and I was just like, what? Victor this is who I'm remembering as, he's in so much other things that I love. And yeah. So it was the rewatch that made me realize how incredible this movie is.
Wow. Okay.
So go watch it. What are we going to do now?
I have been getting up early every morning, like around 5:30 to 6, in order to go and exercise before I start my job. So what I'm going to do now is go to sleep. I am desperately in need of sleep.
That's so early.
How early is it? It's 9:37. It's not that early.
5 a.m.
Oh, yes, that is early. But if I don't get up that early, then I'll never find time in my day to do the exercise that I want to do. That's what I've discovered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? What are you going to do, Rachel?
As per usual, I'm gonna go get something to eat.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'll probably make something because we are at my house. And then I might also need to go grocery shopping, actually.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, is there a time this month when I could come and be your guest at the rock climbing place?
Yeah.
A wall climbing place?
Anytime.
Okay. Let's figure that out, because I want to do that. That's going to be like one of my exercise days. Yeah. Because I enjoyed doing it for your birthday. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, is that it?
I think that's it.
That's
the show.
You
do the credits.
Sure. That's the Show is hosted by Paul Roth and Rachel Pierce. Our theme song is by Mary Kate Jimenez Wall. Our Patreon can be found at www.patreon.com/that'stheshowpod.